Hey guys, Kamina the Koach here, coming back at you. So I'm doing two in one day. I just have so much, I have a lot of ideas during the week, and one a week is just never enough because I have so much more to say. And this is kind of a big update, and it's not like for sure, but I figured it is something I should share. Um, I didn't think I'd ever go back to the United States after I left initially, when I left the United States, I had planned on going back to the United States. I was going to save, pay off some debt, and go back. But after some years of living abroad, it's very difficult to decide to go back. It's the longer you're gone, as a matter of fact, I feel like that's the longer you're gone, the harder it is to go back. Especially now, there's a really huge divide between um, upper class and poverty. Middle class is kind of disappearing. The cost of housing is going up. Wages have stayed the same. They're not keeping up with, inflation. So it just becomes more and more difficult to live in the United States. But so for those of you who have just been watching, you watch the videos back to back to back as they're produced, you know that I've been doing a lot of studying on death and dying, and I'm quite serious about not fearing death. The real thing about death that makes me uncomfortable is growing old alone. Now, so there's a difference between being lonely and alone. I am very much alone. I am very much not lonely. I really am not. I'm okay with me. I like my company. Yesterday was Sunday for me, and I spent all day in silence, just here in my little space, just soaking up me, loving on me, and taking care of me, making sure that I'm okay. And I like that. So I'm not lonely, but I am alone. And the thought of aging alone makes me very uncomfortable. So in 10 years, sorry, let me rock so we don't have any more light fluctuations. So in 10 years of living abroad, about 10 years of living abroad, I haven't ever really had a relationship. It's really difficult. I have spoken about, I don't know, let me not get into the politics of it. It's difficult to have a relationship abroad. When you date someone from a different culture, communication is a big part of relationships, communication and trust. So if you don't know and don't understand each other's cultures well, it causes a really big problem for communication. And I'm really that kind of person that couldn't be with somebody just to be with them. I really need to be able to have an exchange. So I kind of recognize that I need someone from home. um, and then still, even people, from the United States, still we have trouble communicating, but it just puts us on a different playing field. So the thing is when I meet guys from the United States, or people from the United States abroad, in general, they're more into the exotic. So they're more interested in seeing someone from a different country doing something new. I've heard people go so far as to say, well, if I wanted something in the United States, I could go back to the United States and get it. Just so you know, last time I checked, the statistic was women like me outnumbered men like me like 20 to 1. Black men like me in the United States like 20 to 1. So, yeah, it's a little easier for a black man in the United States. Not so easy for a black woman. So, having said all that, I am actually considering making the transition back to the United States, and not so reluctantly. Paradise alone gets kind of boring. My last birthday, I was basically in paradise. Probably the most beautiful beach I've ever seen in my life, the most amazing bungalow I've ever stayed in my life. I wasn't lonely, but I certainly was alone, surrounded by all these couples in love. So yeah, so it's starting to get to that point where it's looking like it's time to make that transition back to the United States. I'm going to have my master's in education by the end of the summer, so that opens up a lot of doors for me. And fortunately, unfortunately, education is always going to be someplace where we have a significant deficit. So I'll always have a job, that's for sure. So I will be much more likely to find a partner or to have a partner, taking my butt back to the United States. So that might be interesting update for a lot of you that have been following me, and I've been saying I'm not going back. You know, my secondary is still my Mexico plan. Um, and it's always a possibility. And for a while, I still have some leeway. For about 14 years, I should still be good. At 55, doors really start closing, but I still have some leeway at 41. If I want to come back abroad, I can do that. And I'm going to go ahead and line up some jobs for next fall just in case it doesn't work out. But my plan for right now is to go back to the United States. Not really. I'll do some like tutoring and maybe some online work. I've been hired as a tutor in the United States. So I'll go back to the United States and kind of do some freelance work while I finish up my master's degree this summer. And then I'll have some jobs overseas lined up just in case. And I will have, see what I can get back in the United States, and we'll just see how that goes. So talk about dedication once I've made up my mind. So anyways, I thought I would just shoot out this update because I had been emphatic about that I was never going back to the United States. Things aren't ever really going to change, or at least not in my lifetime. It's not necessarily really going to get any better, but more importantly, I don't want to be alone anymore. So don't confuse that with lonely. All right, guys. So sending you love, light, peace, and joy. I'll see you next time. Kamina the Koach. I'm out, folks.